Live from Lincoln, this is Channel 8 Eyewitness News at 6 in high definition.
Here's one example. Tornadoes ripped through eastern Nebraska last night, leaving a lot of damage in their paths. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us.
The Weather Service has 17 reports of tornadoes last night in eastern Nebraska. We have updates from Beaver Crossing, Sutton, Cordova, Garland, and Goner.
We begin tonight in Cordova, where people are helping friends and family pick up the pieces. Channel 8's Bill Shammer joins us live with tonight's team coverage and top story.
Rod, Vanessa, we are back here about a mile north of Cordova at the home of Vicki and Wayne Olson, a farmstead that has been in the Olson family since the 1940s, completely destroyed. I want to show you what the home looks like now after last night's devastation. Believe it or not, that used to be a living room back there. Closer to us, a garage over here, a wash area. If you look over this way, this is just a mangled mess of trees and branches. The family, they're calling it a Mother's Day miracle. Thankfully, they were in Grand Island at the time the storm hit. You think this is bad, but when we head out into the back, it gets even worse. On the farmstead here, I'm told there were about a dozen structures, hardly any of them left standing. You can see just 2x4s, wood just laying everywhere. Throughout the day, there's been more than a dozen family members and friends here just trying to pick up the pieces, all thankfully in high spirits, because whether you're in Sutton, you're in Beaver Crossing, you're in Cordova, only reports of minor injuries. And we want to tell you about some of the details we have learned from a Cordova town official. Inside of the city, we're told about 100% of structures were affected, but inside actual city limits, no serious structural damage, only broken windows and roofs that may need repairing, but everything that can be replaced. We have reports of about 3 or 4 minor injuries, ranging from cuts and bruises to a concussion. Now, with all the devastation, of course, the primary is tomorrow. In Seward County and neighboring counties, there have been some changes to polling locations. We want to let you know about those now. If you were in Beaver Crossing, you now need to go to the Goner Fire Hall to do your voting tomorrow. If you are inside of Cordova, you now need to go to the Utica Senior Center. If you were in Sutton, if you remember last night, the entire Main Street basically destroyed in Sutton. That will still be at the same place. They will need to run on a generator, but you can still vote at the Sutton Community Center. Now, we've talked about it last night. We've talked about it this morning. We talked about it at midday at 5. The story of all of this is that thankfully there are no reports of any major injuries. And if you've been in these small towns and these communities and talked to these people, the resolve and the spirit just absolutely amazing. Coming up tonight at 10, we will hear from the Olson family and where they plan to go from here. Rod, Vanessa, back to you.
Yeah, quite a Mother's Day for a lot of people. Bill Shammer reporting live. Thank you.
We move now to Beaver Crossing, where officials say every building is damaged. Incredibly, no one hurt. Channel 8's Brittany Paris spent the day there.
Beaver Crossing, a small town of just 400 people to the west of Lincoln, has been completely devastated by this tornado. Buildings like this thrift shop have been completely destroyed. You can see the walls blown over, the windows punched out. All of this destruction happening in just 20 minutes. Mother's Day took a scary and dangerous turn as a tornado ripped through Beaver Crossing. It touched down around 5:30 Sunday evening, snapping trees, taking down power lines, destroying a town in just 20 minutes. The road into Beaver Crossing was blocked off for hours.
We got a family pet that's in the house, and we're trying to get in there to get it. We're just waiting for them to open up to let us in.
But in the light of day, residents can see just how bad the damage is. Chuck Wagley's home was completely destroyed, his roof ripped off and thrown across the street. He wasn't there during the tornado, but his wife and kids were. Driving home, he wondered if there was even a house to go home to.
My wife and kids were in the hallway, and all I can say is that God was here with them because they're alive today. And The only roof left in the house is in the hallway.
He says his wife protected their kids by laying on top of them. Their neighbor pulled the three from the home.
Thank God for the neighbors that I have, you know, around here, that they're great people, and that's what small town is.
Zelma Nichols, a longtime Beaver Crossing resident, was home alone during the storm, taking cover in her bathroom when the tornado hit.
It's just something you'll never forget. It's devastating.
And Carla Chapman, who just lives across the street, fosters nearly 30 dogs. She says they're shaken up, but they're all okay.
We had cushions and bedding, and all the dogs were all piled together. And
were they scared?
Oh, terrified. I know I was.
People across the state will take the dogs in while Chapman repairs her home. But despite all of the damage, no one in Beaver Crossing was injured. Nichols says that's something to be thankful for.
You can always replace a house, but you never can replace a life.
Cleanup has already started, but residents say they don't know how long it would take to rebuild the town. School has been canceled, but Centennial High School has been turned into a shelter, keeping its doors open for anybody who may need it. Reporting in Beaver Crossing, Brittany Paris, Channel 8 Eyewitness News.
Volunteers are needed in Seward County to help with cleanup in the Beaver Crossing and Cordova area. If you would like to help, a center will be set up at the old gymnasium in Utica at 4th and F Streets from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. tomorrow. To volunteer, you must be at least 19. You should bring a photo ID and wear boots, long pants, gloves, hats, and sunscreen. Safety glasses and ear protection are encouraged.
Speaking of Seward County, we have video of a tornado that hit the eastern part of that county pretty hard. Channel 8 Eyewitness News reporter Kayla Bremer takes us there.
Several homes south of Garland were damaged after this tornado tore through Seward County. Families in this neighborhood are picking up the pieces after Sunday night's twister, thankful to be alive.
It was pretty scary.
Brian Leffers and his family were watching the storm from their house when the sirens went off on his phone. He, his wife, and 2 kids went downstairs and took cover under their steps.
Our ears popped a little bit, and we heard a window shatter upstairs, and we thought the whole top was gone.
His house only had minor damage, but his neighbors weren't so lucky. This home lost the entire left side and most of its roof. Across the street, these 2 sheds were completely destroyed.
After it calmed down, we went outside and saw the damage of what had happened, walked up and down, and made sure everybody had a place just to stay for last night.
Thankfully, no one was injured. One family did lose a horse, and another family is forced to move out of their home due to the damage only a week before expecting a new baby.
We're all going to continue to help each other out and support each other how we can.
Reporting near Garland, Kayla Bremer, Channel 8 Eyewitness News.
Governor Heineman visited several parts of southeast Nebraska today. We caught up with him in Sutton. Channel 8 Eyewitness News reporter Hannah Puchkuski has that story.
That's right, Vanessa. In Sutton, a town of about 2,000 people, almost everyone is without power. And today they're cleaning up around their homes, but the downtown business district probably took the biggest hit. Debris lines the streets of Sutton. One home in town is severely damaged, along with 3 more in a rural community a few miles north. Almost everyone is without power. Homeowners and crews are cleaning up trees and what's left of their businesses. Mary Robbins and her sister spent the morning assessing the damage to their family store, the Robbins Nest.
We are lucky ones. We still have our roof on the Robbins Nest.
But some aren't as fortunate. This half of downtown Sutton has minimal damage, while their other half has a lot to clean up. As you can see behind me, these large metal pieces that are sitting in the road here, a lot of people in town say they have no idea where they came from.
It looked like big sheets of metal rolled up, like a Quonset was curled up in Main Street almost.
They're actually part of City Hall's roof. The state fire marshal's office is evaluating businesses. Today they're working to clean the streets. Governor Dave Heineman came to Sutton to assess some of the damage.
Clearly today we saw the extent of what that wind damage did.
By the end of the day, he will make a state disaster declaration to ensure a speedy recovery for the local communities. That means the state will take money from the emergency fund to help pay for assistance like debris management and removal, which means less money coming out of taxpayers' pockets in those communities.
All the trees out in front.
Thankfully, the Robbins Nest still stands, but Patty Leininger says the damage to other businesses like Brown's Grocery is still devastating.
It's just heartbreaking to see what's happened to their store.
The Red Cross is available for those who need it in Sutton. They're stationed at the St. Mary's Catholic Church.
Thank you so much, Hannah. Now, northeast of Sutton, as we said, we have team coverage. The storms hit a neighborhood just south of Goner. Channel 8's Lauren Fabrizi was there this morning and has more.
Rewind to Saturday. Debris is not what you would have seen in Kurt and Angie Eberspacher's backyard as they celebrated their daughter's high school graduation. But within 24 hours, they saw blue skies turn gray as a tornado ripped through their neighborhood just south of Goner.
We just sat there in our storm shelter and cried and prayed and prayed and prayed for God to protect us and our family.
Because that's all the family could do as they watched with blind eyes.
We did not see the tornado at all. It was just, wind because it was raining very hard. We could hear the change in the air pressure. All the girls' ears popped.
You can see that the aftermath of that tornado left the family's entire horse farm in pieces. 2 of their horses have died and another 4 are at the vet with broken legs. The couple and their 3 daughters have been showing horses for years and have spent countless hours outside at their farm. Now they're left cleaning up what remains. From family members to friends, you can see that a number of people are coming out to help Kurt and Angie with the cleanup. They say the overwhelming amount of support is helping get them through.
The family and friends have been as overwhelmingly supportive as the damage is here.
That can all be replaced, but our family was safe, and that's the most important part.
Reporting near Goner, Lauren Fabrizi at Channel 8 Eyewitness News.
Last night's storms in Nebraska tracked all the way through the Omaha area. It is believed a tornado hit Elkhorn. At least 1 roof was torn off a home there. Trees were also knocked over in some neighborhoods. No one was hurt. Tonight, about 2,500 people across Douglas County are still without power.
Yeah, not only did we have the tornadoes and high winds, boy, some areas really got socked with a lot of rain. Here's Luke Doris.
And that was the threat as soon as the tornadoes were winding down. We were looking at the flash flooding threat as we had just a ton of rain. These things we're just dropping big rain totals, and for a long period of time. This is, I think, the highest rain total I've ever seen here in Nebraska at 6.17 inches over a 48-hour period. And look out at York, 6.17. Wow, 3 inches here in Lincoln over the past 48. We broke a record yesterday, so our Sunday alone, we saw 2.93 inches. A lot of that, though, moving off to the east. Thankfully, we need to dry things out now. The storm system, though, that brought us the rain, that brought us the tornadoes, that brought us the severe weather, is still going to have a big role on our temperatures this week. So even though it's moved off to the east, we're back behind it, and things are going to be chilly for us as they are right now at 49. So I'm going to take a look at that 7-day forecast and let you know what to expect through the rest of the week. It's all coming up here in just a couple of minutes.
Thank you so much, Luke. Coming up on the news, the Nebraska softball team will be joined by some former foes in their regional. Brent has a story later in sports.
As Luke mentioned, what can we expect for the rest of the 7-day forecast? Have we learned yet how strong those tornadoes were? Find out what we've learned after the break.
Now, your local forecast from Lincoln's own weather experts.
Well, it reminds me more of October out there today than a mid-May afternoon. We've been socked into the clouds and some showers to go with it. It's been pretty light through today. No thunderstorms for us. And in fact, all the thunderstorm activity has moved off to the east. It's going through there. You can see Missouri, still some strong storms there, all the way back down into parts of Oklahoma and Texas, and it rolls up into parts of Wisconsin as well. So back here on the backside of that, we do still have some residual light rain, even some snow. They had 4 inches in Imperial earlier today. But we're starting to work in drier air, and you can see that with this rain moving off to the east. So a few sprinkles out there, but that's about it. And through the rest of tonight, things are going to be drying up. So that's good news after all the rain that we've had since Sunday. Then get into tomorrow, sunshine's back. It's been a little while since we've seen that, hasn't it? Some showers possible out into the Panhandle and central parts of the state. We won't see any of that here in Lincoln for our Tuesday. Right now, 49 degrees the temperature with a northwest wind in there at 22. It's feeling even cooler than that. Dew points high at 71. High today was 57, and that was at midnight, so way down below that normal of 73. And I'll have to adjust that low because we're at your low temperature right now. Records of 97 and 31. Overnight low tonight's not going to be a record breaker, but we're not going to be too awfully far from it. 48 right now in Beatrice, still some 50s down to our southeast in Falls City. Everybody else, though, cool, middle to upper 40s. Different story if you go just to the east. There's the front. That's what sparked our storms on Sunday. That's what's sparking the storms to the east today. And out ahead of that, wow, still 80s, 70s, 86 in Nashville right now. That's a potent late spring type of front that we have there. So I wanted to show you this as well let's go back one. There's our water vapor, and you see the storms fire up back into here. You see the circulation. That's the jet stream. That's what is the upper level storm system. So you've got your surface fronts that help agitate the atmosphere, and then you've got your jet stream that has the winds that bring the lift to the atmosphere. And watch what happens with this. As this continues to move eastward, again, we're on the back side of this. Our temperatures are going to be pretty cool because of it. So this week, are we going to be getting back up into the 70s and 80s? It doesn't look like it. 38 the overnight low tonight. Some patchy frost by early on our Tuesday morning. Winds are breezy out of the northwest through tonight, but we are dry. 63 our high temperature for tomorrow. It's a warmer day. It's a quiet day. Still a little bit of a wind to deal with, but sunny skies will be nice to see. 37, another near frost night for us on Tuesday. So keep that in mind for anything you have out in the garden. May want to put a bag over them. 66 on Wednesday, a small chance for a shower in there on Thursday at 62, with 63 in there for Friday with partly cloudy skies. Then we get into the weekend. Saturday, you don't see much in the change of temperatures. It just kind of stays locked in, doesn't it, throughout the week. And a few more scattered showers around to start the weekend, and then even on Sunday, a shower or two possible. Both of those will be light, not major rain events, and we don't get back up above normal until we get a week from today, Monday, finally, back to the upper 70s. We'll be right back after the break.
Now, Channel 8 Eyewitness News, Sports.
The Nebraska baseball team had to wait an hour and a half to start their game today against Michigan State in East Lansing due to rain and lightning. The Huskers going for the series sweep of the Spartans. A win would give the Huskers their fourth conference sweep this season. Top of the first, 2 on for Blake Headley. He chops an RBI single up the middle with 2 outs. Ryan Bolt scores easily. Jake Plotzek scores on the throwing error. Huskers up 2-0 just like that. Still in the first, Tanner Lubach back from injury, rips an RBI single in the right. Headley scores, 3-zip, Big Red. Bottom of the second, how about a little defense? Michael Pritchard lays out in left field. Take another look. Mac Daddy Pritch with the full extension. Top 3 now. Headley with another RBI single into center. Pritchard scores. Pat Kelly going to be thrown out at third, makes it 4-0 Huskers. Nebraska wins it 4-1 in 7 innings due to time and travel rules. Also more severe weather. That's now 7 straight wins for Nebraska. Here's a look at the latest Big Ten standings. The Huskers move into a tie with Illinois for second place after today's win. The Huskers and Fighting Illini meet this weekend in Lincoln in the final regular season series. That'll be huge. Indiana has clinched at least a share of the Big Ten regular season title. The Huskers are ranked as high as 26th in the latest collegiate baseball poll. Nebraska plays at Creighton tomorrow night. While the Husker baseball team is positioning themselves for a postseason berth, the Husker softball team learned its postseason fate last night. The Huskers will hit the road for their NCAA regional. Nebraska is in the Columbia Regional in Missouri for the round of 64. The Huskers are joined by Kansas, Missouri, and Bradley, so it'll be a Big 8, Big 12 reunion this weekend in Columbia.
Big 8. Okay, see, I told you I was old. It felt like an old Big 8 tournament. That's what it felt like. And in fact, that's what I told the team after. I said, this is like old Big 8 days with the 3 traditional rivalries. All the players on every roster don't have history with each other, but I know that the coaches do.
I'm trying to think back to my freshman year, but I've heard a lot of great things about those conferences and how it was to play in those big conferences like that. So it'll be a fun reminder of where this program came and kind of where we're going to.
Nebraska will face Kansas at 12:30 on Friday in Columbia. Missouri will take on Bradley at 3 later that day. It is a double elimination tournament that will run through Sunday. No TV plans have been announced yet. Every district final baseball game involving an area team has been postponed due to the weather. All of those games will now be played on Tuesday. Taylor Martinez signed a free agent deal with the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday. Martinez inked a 3-year deal to play for Chip Kelly in Philly. Taylor set all sorts of records while at Nebraska, but a foot injury sidelined him for most of the 2013 season. As far as what position he will play, that's up to the Eagles. Since we didn't have a sportscast last night, here is a recap of the draft weekend for the Huskers. Stanley Jean-Baptiste, Spencer Long, and Quincy Anunwa were the only Huskers to get drafted. The following Huskers all signed free agent deals. Of course, Taylor Martinez, Cole Pensick, Mo Cisse, Jeremiah Searles, Brent Qualley, Jason Ankra, and Andrew Green. How about this Nebraska baseball team? That's now 7 straight wins and 20 wins in their last 24 games. They're getting hot. They play at Creighton tomorrow night, and then this series at home this weekend. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday deal this weekend against Illinois because the Big Ten tournament starts next Wednesday up in Omaha. That's going to be basically for second place, and that number 2 seed in the Big Ten tournament is huge. So when the Illinois comes to town this weekend, it's going to be a big series.
You get a kind of a feeling that the Nebraska athletic department as a whole, things are really kind of turning around. We had the basketball team this year, softball doing great, baseball.
Right. Inspiring each other, maybe.
Yeah, and over the last few years, it's really been the female sports have really dominated, and now with basketball, like you said, the men's basketball team having success, and now the baseball team, hopefully this is the year that they make the NCAA tournament.
Thanks, Brett. Final check of the forecast next.
Luke, so many tornado reports, possibly some of the same tornado, and a lot of people probably want to know, how strong were they?
Yeah, I'm in talks with the National Weather Service. They're the ones that send out troops to go and do what they call damage surveys. And there's the EF scale, the enhanced Fujita scale. That's what they use to determine how strong these things are and what their wind speeds are. We don't know yet. They sent crews out today, and they're probably going to do it again tomorrow. I'll probably have an update for you, at least preliminary ideas of how strong some of these were at 10 o'clock. So tune back in for that, and I'll give you what I have. More likely by tomorrow, we'll have a better picture of just how strong these were. Tonight, things dry up for us. It gets chilly, 38 the overnight low. Tomorrow, 63. Sun comes back. It warms up a little bit, but we're still running about 10 short of normal. It's going to be breezy. Winds out of the northwest at 10 to 20, and we keep it cool all week long. Don't expect much change as we run through the rest of the week. And Thursday, a slight chance of showers. Other than that, we are dry.
All right. Thanks so much, Luke, and thank you for joining us. Have a great night.
We'll see you back here at 10.